and they're also sinking. Here are pictures of devils and demons and witches. It is a nightmare. It is a nightmare expressed in art. Yes, but this nightmare was what was actually happening in Goya's own country. There is a wonderful collection of etchings called Los Desastres de la Guerra, the disasters of war. More pictures of a greater impact, a greater condemnation of human cruelty and war you could not imagine. Goya, a great artist. Why a great artist? Because on the one hand, he's expressing what is in himself. This is true art. This is not prostitution. This is true art. At the same time, he's expressing a general reality, a truth which is a universal truth. He's expressing the period in which he lives. You know, I wish we had a Goya today that was capable of expressing the dilemma which our world faces. Instead of that, what do you get? An unmade bed. Does this really express the full drama of the human race at the beginning of the 21st century? Well, I have a reasonable doubt. Or a shark pickled in formaldehyde. What does this express? What universal truth does this say? I think it just says a very simple thing. I am a shark pickled in formaldehyde. I don't think this tells us a very great deal. However, it does earn somebody a lot of money. It does earn somebody a very great deal of money. And this is not meant to be tucked away in a small hut. It is meant to be sold for large amounts of cash on the market. And yet, you know, art was not always like that, not even in our own times. We have a great artist, Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso was a successful artist. Unlike Van Gogh, again, a marvelous artist who died in absolute sheer poverty. Now his paintings are being sold for millions of pounds. The man died in poverty. Or Vermeer, whose wife had to sell his very few precious paintings to the baker to buy bread. Now his paintings are items of speculation, earning vast fortunes for a number of people. You might say to me, no, but Alan, look, be fair. In the past, there have been wealthy people that have given money to artists and helped artists. So what's wrong with this? Yes, but you know there's a difference. The Medici, during the Renaissance, were bandits in the very literal sense of the word. But it is true they were bandits with very good artistic taste. You know, they loved art. It is true, they loved art. And they promoted people such as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. They loved art. Nowadays, art is a form of prostitution on a vast scale. Nowadays, people go to an art market not because they love art, but because art is one commodity more. Just the same as underpants, or rubber tires, or television sets, or anything else, or oil, or coconuts. It's a commodity to be bought and sold, and it is prostitution on a vast scale. Works of art are purchased by big companies, big capitalist companies, as items of speculation. They are purchased by anonymous buyers from Japan over the telephone, Japan or New York, whatever. For what purpose? To be appreciated? No, they're not appreciated. They are locked away in bank vaults where human eyes will never see them again. Humanity is thus deprived of access to works of great artistic values. The museums can no longer keep up. The art gallery, Robert Hughes makes this point very forcibly in an excellent television program that he made recently called The Mona Lisa Curse. The Mona Lisa Curse. I don't know if you saw that on Channel 4. Marvelous program in which he debunked all this business. Art has become prostituted and commercialized to the extent that it ceases to be art. It's just a commodity. Goya's paintings. The man died almost of starvation. Sold now for millions. To be hidden away as items of speculation. Pure speculation. Now, I ask you, what has this activity got in common with art? With true art, whereby the artist should be free to express himself, freely express what is inside himself or what is inside herself. I answer, it has nothing in common. It is a complete degeneration. It is a complete abomination and reflects the values of this society. You know, I said earlier that this Pharaoh, this statue of Pharaoh gives us a message. I am big, I am powerful, you are nothing. Yes, but we have our modern pharaohs. They're not God kings. They know no religion. The only religion that they know is capital. It's got dollar signs on it. And yet it says the same thing, that you are nothing. In this hall today, I've no doubt, I've never met you before, you've never met me, but I've no doubt that it may well be that among you, there are people with, men and women with a great artistic potential. That if you have the chance and the opportunity, you could maybe become a modern Goya or a modern Picasso. Unfortunately, what you will find is that the art world is part of the money world and is well integrated into the money world, and therefore you live under a dictatorship just as absolute in its own way as the old dictatorship of the church or the Egyptian pharaohs or of Joseph Stalin or of Adolf Hitler. It is not a visible dictatorship, but it's the power of money which dominates all of our lives and dictates whether or not you'll have a job, whether or not you'll have a house. Millions of people are now being evicted from the houses in the States. This affects art. Unfortunately, art no longer has the power to shock. It no longer has this, at least the official art, what is accepted, the Damien Hirsts and people of that, the Jeff Koons and people of that character. It has become trivial. It is irrelevant. And it is seen as trivial and irrelevant by the great majority of society and by serious artists. An increasing number have come to this conclusion. This is a complete dead end. I was going to mention Pablo Picasso. During the Spanish Civil War, in which 1 million people were killed, I have quite a lot of personal experience of Spain. I participated in the struggle against the Franco dictatorship in the 1970s. But nevertheless, Spain, again, is a country with enormous artistic traditions. And here you have a man like Picasso, who spent most of his life in exile. There was an incident in 1937 in which Hitler, supporting Franco's armies, firebombed the small town of Guernica in the Basque Country. It had no military value. There was no base there. There were no guns there. There were no soldiers, just ordinary men, women, and kids in a busy market day, buying their necessities, their food, and so on and so forth. They dropped bombs on Guernica and entirely liquidated it as an act of pure terrorism, of pure terror, state terror. And Pablo Picasso reacted as one would expect a great artist to react, by producing his great masterpiece, Guernica, which you probably have seen in reproduction. You go to Madrid, you can see it. I believe it's still in Madrid. There's plans to move it to Bilbao, but I don't think they've done that. Here's an astonishing depiction of the horrors of war in the tradition of Goya. Here you have a bull, a mad bull, a savage bull out of control. Here you have a horse penetrated by a lance, a mother with a dead baby in her arms, howling to the heavens, the dumb heavens, of course, which can't hear or do anything about it. Here's an astonishing, powerful picture of the horrors of war and the barbarism of fascism. This is great art. And I repeat, why is it great? It is great because it's not propaganda, by the way. Propaganda cannot be great art. This is not political propaganda. This is a cry from the soul, a cry from the heart of a man that's committed to what? Committed not to a political party necessarily, committed to humanity, committed to the cause of progress against fascism, committed to the side of the workers and peasants of Spain against this fascist barbarism. Yes, it is an intensely personal declaration, but it's a personal declaration which means something for the majority of humanity. Now again, I would compare that, which is great art, to the present lamentable state what is known as Brit art. I want to make it clear that I am in favour of complete freedom for artists. Art must be free. But it must be free of all forms of tutelage and dictatorship, not just religious censorship and political censorship, but also the insidious dictatorship of finance, of capital, whereby in effect the artist, the young artist like yourself, is expropriated because you have no access, no automatic access to the galleries,